back in our nation's capital. 7-0. A reminder that on the 29th of January, the day before the Super Bowl, Senior Skins, it will feature Nicholas, Palmer, Player, and Watson. That's the 29th of January right here on ABC. As Stephen Davis breaks it, bad ankle and all, from his own 13, and finally caught from behind at the Detroit 29 by Brian Westbrook. What bad ankle.
Oh. He certainly didn't look like a fullback there, Al, did he? He came flying through the holes. A nice lead block by Larry Centers, running right up in the middle here. And take a look at number 27, Mark Carrier, right there. He's blocked by number 83, the wide receiver. Nice read by Stephen Davis coming through the middle. Albert Cannell made a nice block at the point of attack, and that's how you get big runs. The wide receivers have to make the blocks downfield, Al.
And he does it off the left side, where Kip Vickers has taken over at left tackle because Andy Heck, the left tackle, has a torn hamstring, and obviously he will not be back. And that pass is tipped. So the Redskins along their interior line lose Andy Heck. Claiborne tipped it, and Kip Vickers, fifth-year guy out of Miami, is the left tackle.
And they come running in right behind him, and they don't lose a beat. And the thing that I like about the Redskin offense, when they make a big play like that, they come right back and they look for some more by trying to throw the football. The Detroit Lion defense has got to somehow force a turnover.
One of the original Hogs, Russ Grimm, the offensive line coach of the Redskins. Second down and 10. Back to the ground to Davis, who picks up about 3. He's hit by Ron Rice. When the season began, they didn't know whether Davis would be the starting running back, or at least when training camp began, or Skip Hicks. They let Terry Allen go. He eventually wound up at New England. But Davis, who played fullback last year, he was the blocker for Allen, emerged in training camp and had a tremendous year.
Skip Hicks was the guy that was supposed to, I think that in the beginning of the year they thought he was going to be the guy. Then all of a sudden they found that they had that special back just sitting right there underneath their noses, and they just had to give him a chance.
Third down and 7 from the 26-yard line. Caught out in the flat, and diving for the first down is Larry Centers, and we'll see where they spot it. They put it down at the 18, and that will move the chains.
How so many key offseason acquisitions for the Washington Redskins. None more important than this guy right here. The things that he has done for them. Norv Turner told us yesterday that they tried to sign him a few years ago from the Arizona Cardinals as a free agent, and they couldn't get it done. They were about $100,000 short in a contract negotiation, but this is the type of thing that he brings to your football team. He is a passionate football player when he gets that ball in his hands, and he will make the first down and a tough catch for you.
First and 10 from the 18-yard line as Johnson slings it to the outside, and that's intended for Michael Westbrook. You know, Boomer, you never want to make too much of something very early in the game, but with the way things have stacked up for Detroit coming in on the road, 4 losses in a row, batch out, no running game, already down 7-0. This becomes a pretty vital defensive stop here.
It really does, and we talk about it every week, Al. When we get out, when you're on the road, the one thing that you don't want to allow happen is to let the crowd get into the game, and for the home team offense just kind of move down the field methodically and score a lot of points. You have to somehow create a turnover.
Second down and 10, or at least hold them to a field goal attempt. And it will be third down and 8 now after Stephen Davis picks up a couple to the 16.
But how many times have we seen where games have started out like this, where the one team is just so dominant, and all of a sudden things start happening, where injuries start piling up, and already Andy Heck is gone.
With the Lions, there it is, 17 regular season losses, 2 playoff games. They have never won a game here. The last time the Lions won a road game against the Redskins played in Boston in the mid-30s.
And how impressive is Bobby Ross's job been this year? Only 3 guys on this entire roster have played all 16 games at their original
third and 8, a big conversion to Steven Alexander for a first down to the 5. It'll be first and goal.
You can't let Brad Johnson sit back there and pick you apart. He's too smart. He can read defenses. The nice thing about Brad Johnson, I think, Al, is that he's finally really realized all of his potential. He has a nice touch on the ball. He throws a nice deep ball, and he's very smart. And look at this. The ball is out before the receiver even turns around. Alexander makes a nice catch, but that's why quarterbacks like he are so dangerous. They have all the intangibles and the ability to see the field and read defenses.
Larry Peccatello used to be a longtime assistant here in Washington, now the Lion defensive coordinator.
Positions, guys.
His group trying to stiffen on 1st and goal inside the 5. If the Redskins win today, they go to Tampa next weekend. If the Lions win this game, they go to St. Louis next weekend. 1st and goal. From the 4, Davis nearly untouched for the touchdown. Davis will go to the Pro Bowl, and the block was thrown by Trey Johnson, who will go to the Pro Bowl.
Well, if you're Ron Rice, the last thing you want to have to do is to take on a guard coming around the corner that weighs 330 pounds. And Trey Johnson is just that. He came around the corner and he led Stephen Davis. Here he comes. And watch Davis get right in behind him like that. Woof. Nice play by Trey Johnson.
Brett Conway for the point after. So Davis, the key on that drive, the 58-yard run, equaling a Redskin postseason record. Davis with 9 carries now for 73 yards, and the Skins 2 touchdowns, 14-0. The longtime owner of the Detroit Lions right now, a little bit of concern etched on his face with his team down 14-0 in the first quarter. Conway's kick is fielded at the 7 by the rookie Ty Talton, and he brings it back out to the 36. 2:20 remaining in the opening quarter in this NFC Wildcard game. 14-0 Redskins.
I'm not doing
Technology that's making life a little better all the time. On 1st and 15, Farad throws, and that's caught by Herman Moore, who has been to the Pro Bowl on several occasions in his career, but this year 2 separate knee injuries have rendered him inactive throughout the first half of the season. The Lions this year, they won all 4 games against the eventual division champions, Seattle, Tampa Bay, St. Louis, and Washington. So they're able to respond on each occasion, but right now they've dug themselves a hole against the NFC East champs, as Tony Ramirez was moving again.
Now they might call this one on the defensive line of the Washington Redskins, because they actually moved and then Ramirez reacted to it. But they're not going to do that.
False start, 75, offense, 5 yards, second down.
Bobby saw the same thing you did.
Well, take a look here and you'll see. It's Marco Coleman, I believe. Right here at the bottom of your screen, there he is, and Ramirez reacts to it, and that was put in for the express reason that the home team uses the noise, and you can hear it right now. The offense cannot communicate right now, Al. It's the hardest thing to do on the road in a playoff game when you have a crowd like this, is to communicate with one another.
They give it to Schlesinger, and he can go nowhere. Marco Coleman wraps him up with a minute and a half to go in the opening period. Gus Frerotte, picked in the 7th round in '94. That was the year the Redskins banked their future on Heath Shuler. Remember, Shuler came out of Tennessee, 3rd guy in the draft. Frerotte was going to be Shuler's backup, and then 2 years later, Shuler was gone. There's Charlie Batch, who would be the Lions quarterback, and then Frerotte released by the Redskins. And now trying to beat his ex-mates as he flings it, and it's intercepted by the rookie Champ Bailey at the Washington 41.
Al, that interception should go to Kennard Lang. He was in the face of Gus Frerotte. We talked last night to Norv Turner about how do you defend Gus Frerotte. Obviously, you know what he does well and what he doesn't do well. Well, you got to get in his face, you got to disrupt him, and you got to make him nervous. He does not like to go through his progressions. He wants to throw the ball quickly, and right there, Kennard Lang hits him, and he forces a bad, inaccurate pass. This has the makings of a rout. And I don't know how much more you can ask the defense of the Detroit Lions to do, especially when you put them on a short field like this. A recipe for disaster for the Detroit Lions.
First down at the 39-yard line. They fake to Davis, the pump fake, and then Johnson goes deep, and the pass is incomplete. The coverage was good as Bryant Westbrook stayed right with him through the play fake, through the pump fake. Albert Connell, the intended receiver.
But you're going to have a flag on the play out, and it's going to be roughing the passer against, I believe, Alan Aldridge, who hits Brad Johnson right in the head before he delivers the football, or right as he lets go of the football.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, 55 defense, 15 yards, automatic first down.
Alan Aldridge is a blitzing linebacker right up the middle, and he hits Brad Johnson right in the face mask. You can't do it. You talk about making your own mistakes, and this is exactly what they're doing. There's no reason for that. Oh.
Crowd responding to the replay. Detroit, 6 penalties. Of course, the big one was the 41-yard pass interference call on Westbrook. From the 24, Davis falls down, loses the ball at the 23-yard line, and is able to maintain possession. So the Lions almost got the break they so desperately need right now, but Washington keeps possession. And the clock will tick down to end the first quarter. It'll be second down and 8 at the 22-yard line when play resumes. End of one. Washington 14, Detroit nothing, and this wild card playoff will resume after this message and a word from our ABC station. Aerial camera provided by Southwest Airlines as we start the second quarter. Al Michaels with Boomer Esiason and Leslie Visser. Washington leading at 14-0, and the second quarter begins second down and 8 from the 22-yard line with Larry Centers picking up a yard.
Not one of the real strong suits for Larry Centers. He's not. It's an interesting dynamic the way he plays. He's great out in space when you throw him the football on wide patterns and you give him a chance to get out away from the defense. But when you hand him the ball up the middle, for some reason he doesn't see it quite as well. He doesn't have the great vision that a lot of the good running backs have, but he's a tremendous football player on the outside of the defense and has great hands.
Centers this year leading the team in receptions with 69. Brian Mitchell is in the game in the backfield on third down and 6. Johnson to the left side, and it is caught by Connell, who gets tackled by J.B. Brown, who is able to stop him 2 yards shy of the first down. And now the Redskins will send their field goal unit out onto the field as Scott Kowalkowski needs some attention for Detroit.
Well, interesting watching the play of J.B. Brown. He was the cornerback out there, kind of hesitated. It looked like he could have made a break on the ball for an interception, but he sat there. And I think right now most of the secondary, especially the cornerbacks for the Detroit Lions, are a little shaky, a little scared about being beat deep, and they certainly don't want to cause any more penalties. Oh.
That's Kowalkowski and J.B. Brown knocking heads. So Scott is now sitting up, and he will get up and goes to the Lions sideline as Brett Conway comes in to attempt a 32-yard field goal.
Sort of a minor victory for the Detroit defense, Al, if they can keeping him here and giving him a field goal attempt.
Unless they fake it, because you've got the quarterback Brad Johnson holding, so anything can happen. 33 yards officially, and they'll settle for the three-point attempt and manifest it. 13:50 remaining in the opening half as the Redskins move out to a 17-0 lead.
Coming back for more.
Super Bowl Sunday, that's January 30th. It begins with the senior skins game. You've got Palmer, Nicholas, Flair, and Watson. Then the Super Bowl 34 pregame show beginning at 2 o'clock Eastern time. And then the game itself, Super Bowl 34 for Atlanta at 6 Eastern time. This is Ty Talton running the kick back to the 27-yard line. And that's where Detroit will take over. If you missed it earlier, a wild one in Nashville. It looked like Buffalo would advance. And this coming with just seconds left in the game. Frank Wycheck throwing a lateral pass. And it was in dispute. They reviewed it. And the play on the field as called stood. Kevin Dyson making the catch. I think the call was right. He goes all the way to the end zone, and Tennessee goes all the way into the next round of the playoffs.
Oh, they had a high replay of that, Al, that might cause further dispute. I don't know. But that's why we have replay, to get those things correct.
Well, we were watching it as we were preparing for this one. The penalty here is against Detroit.
False start, 86, offense.
That's David Sloan.
5 yards, first down.
Well, I was going to tell you here now, if you're the Detroit Lions, you cannot panic. Obviously, you can't keep killing yourselves like this, going backwards with penalties. You just have to try to methodically move the football down, get some sort of points on the football on the board. Try to collect your thoughts and relax a little bit.
First and 15, and that hits the umpire. And it'll be second and 15. Combat duty.
Boy, do they look out of sync and
terrible. Neil Garib is the umpire.
And Norv Turner told us yesterday when Gus Frerotte takes his 3-step drops, they want to get guys in his face, and you can see right here he has a tough time seeing downfield, and he's trying to hit Herman Moore behind the umpire. I say go down the field, down the sideline.
Second and 15, and that's over the middle, intended for Sloan, and that is incomplete. He's covered on the play by Sam Shade. It'll be third down and 15.
Anything to loosen it up at all. Just use your big receivers, go down the field, look for a pass interference, anything to kind of get you some momentum. Right now, they are struggling with their short passing game. They can't run the football. They're committing way too many penalties.
Third and 15 from the 22, and the crowd is fully into it. Four-man rush. Frerotte throws. That's caught by Crowell, but he gets tackled at the 28-yard line, well short of the first down, and it's 3 and out again for Detroit. Sean Barber with the coverage.
3 and out because on first down you have a penalty by Sloan. It moves you back. Third and 15 on the road. Your success ratio is not going to be very high.
Brian Mitchell back to receive the kick. John Jett to punt. Wobbly, low, bouncing kick. Mitchell fielding on a hop at the 38, and the coverage is good for Detroit, knocking him back to the 36-yard line, and there's a marker down back at the 20-yard line against Detroit. The agonized special teams coach right there is Chuck Prefer. Now Washington has the option.
You want to talk about agonizing right there, the head coach Bobby Ross.
Offensive holding on the wingback. 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down. Fourth down.
And Bobby Ross was so confident before the game when I was speaking to him, Al. He just said, hey, if we could just keep our wits about us, we'll be all right. Certainly things have kind of unraveled kind of quickly as soon as they came out. Penalties, long penalties, offsides, illegal motion, you name it, they've done it.
Forced to use a timeout on the first series of the game.
Well, I didn't mind that because I felt like Gus Frerotte had hurt his hand and he didn't feel comfortable about receiving the ball from center. Okay, no problem. Err conservatively if you're going to, and that's fine. But since that time, it's been all downhill.
Been pretty much downhill since December 5th when they beat the Redskins, coming in with 4 straight losses.